My wife went on a romantic dinner with another man thinking it was normal, but I had already booked a flight to another state and left forever. My name is Tyler, and I'm 28 years old. This is the story of how my marriage ended and how I found myself on a plane to Barcelona with nothing but a hastily packed backpack and a shattered heart. The night everything fell apart, my wife Jessica was getting ready for what she called her date. She stood in front of our bedroom mirror, wearing a black dress with a slit up the side, the kind of thing she hadn't worn for me in years. Her hair was perfectly curled, her lips painted bright red, and she looked absolutely stunning. When I asked what the occasion was, she looked right through me like I was a ghost haunting her perfect little life and said it was just a casual night out with the girls. That's when I knew I couldn't breathe in that house anymore. Every single room smelled like her perfume, and every time she opened her mouth lately, it was like listening to someone who had rehearsed her lines with someone else. I wasn't stupid about what was happening. I had been pretending not to know for weeks, but the charade was finally over. She left around 8:45 p.m. At 8:50 p.m., I called the airline and booked a seat on the first flight I could find out of the country. I didn't care where it was going. I ended up with a red-eye to Barcelona. Why Spain? I had no fucking idea. Maybe because it sounded far enough away to matter, or maybe because she wouldn't think to look for me there. I didn't pack properly at all. I didn't even bring a jacket with me. Just stuffed some random clothes in a backpack and drove to the airport in complete silence. I didn't book a hotel room, didn't think about what I'd do when I landed. I just knew I had to get out of there before I completely lost my mind. 4 weeks before I left, something had changed dramatically. Jessica started doing this weird thing where she'd disappear into the bathroom with her phone, leave the shower running for no reason, then come out 25 minutes later with completely dry hair and this fake yawn like she was tired. She stopped asking me how my day went, smiled way too quickly at everything, and completely stopped folding my laundry. She started accidentally leaving her own lingerie in plain sight, new pieces I had never seen before in my life. Even knowing what I knew, I still tried to make it work. God damn it, I tried so hard. I planned a weekend trip to Lake Tahoe, but she said she had a migraine that weekend. I cooked her favorite chicken Alfredo one night, but she picked at it and said she wasn't hungry, then snuck downstairs at midnight to microwave leftover pizza. I asked her to watch a movie with me, but she scrolled on her phone the entire time. I don't think she even looked at the screen once. On the flight to Barcelona, I didn't cry. I didn't drink anything either, and I didn't sleep at all during the entire red-eye journey. I just kept thinking about all the things she used to say to me, things that don't mean anything now. I'll never lie to you, Tyler. You're the only man I've ever really loved. I'd rather die than hurt you like that. I bet she said the exact same things to him. Or maybe she skipped all that romantic bullshit and went straight to whatever inside joke they now share. The one she hides in that locked folder on her phone, the one she looks at and giggles to herself like a damn teenager with her first crush. By the time the plane landed in Barcelona, I knew I wasn't going back home. Not until I figured out what part of me had let this happen. And not until I faced the actual truth. My wife was cheating on me, and she didn't even care if I found out anymore. The hotel room I found had a window that looked over some narrow alley where laundry fluttered on old, rusty wires. A black cat wandered around down there like it owned the world. It was completely quiet. No car sirens, no small talk, no Jessica. I sat on the edge of the bed with my backpack still zipped shut, just listening to the blood pumping in my ears and feeling the pressure of total silence. It was the kind of quiet that makes you realize how loud your life has been until that moment. I didn't check my phone until the sun went down. There were 52 notifications waiting for me. Missed calls, voicemails, text messages. Her tone changed with each message, evolving from casual to confused to panicked. Hey babe, where are you? Are you okay? Can you please answer me? I don't know what's going on, Tyler. Please don't do anything stupid right now. I didn't answer any of them, but I read every single one. Every fake word, every half-truth, every trap of a sentence meant to reel me back in. She had no idea I'd seen the photo. No clue I knew what she was really doing when she claimed to be out with the girls. She thought I had just snapped and vanished into thin air. She even called my mom, apparently. My sister said Jessica was worried about me, claimed I'd been acting strange lately. That was rich coming from a woman who once forgot our anniversary completely, then claimed she'd planned a surprise for the following week. Nothing ever came of that surprise, just like nothing ever came of most of her promises. I lay back on that stiff hotel bed and stared at the ceiling for hours, trying to remember when I stopped being her husband and started being an obstacle in her way. When did my name in her phone stop meaning comfort and start meaning guilt instead? When did she begin choosing someone else with her eyes closed and her mouth full of lies? The worst part of all this was that I kept trying to figure out what I'd done wrong. I replayed every argument we ever had, every missed moment between us, every boring Tuesday night where maybe I should have kissed her longer or looked at her harder or asked one more question about her day. I told myself this was my fault somehow, that if I'd been more exciting, more confident, more something different, she wouldn't have gone looking for someone else. But deep down, I knew better than that. I had given her everything I had, my time, my loyalty, my stupid, undeserved trust. And she had used all of it as a shield while she snuck around behind my back with some guy who probably still didn't know I existed. I stood up from the bed and paced around the small hotel room, then opened the window wide and let the cold night air hit my face. I wasn't angry yet at this point. That would come later for sure. Right now, I was just tired. Tired of being lied to constantly. Tired of loving someone who clearly thought I was a fool. Tired of feeling like I was the one who needed to fix what she had broken. Tomorrow, I would listen to her voicemails and make a decision about everything. But not tonight, not right now. Tonight, I let go of the version of her I used to love. I didn't plan to call her back initially. I didn't plan to do anything, actually. But the longer I sat with those voicemails, the more they rotted in my chest like mold. It was the sixth one that finally pushed me over the edge. The one where her voice cracked, not from sadness, but from pure frustration. If you're trying to punish me, Tyler, it's not going to work at all. Just come home and stop being so dramatic. She said it like I'd lost my mind completely, like I was the one who had violated something sacred. I guess in her head, the only betrayal was me walking out the door without asking her permission first. So I called her from a payphone. Yeah, they still exist in Barcelona. She picked up on the first ring. Oh my God, where the hell are you, Tyler? Doesn't matter where I am. Are you safe? What are you doing? You can't just disappear like that. I was going absolutely insane. I didn't answer her questions. I let the silence press down on the line like a weight. Then I asked her directly, "Who's the guy in the photo, Jessica?" The line went completely still. Dead air for what felt like forever. "What photo?" she said way too fast. "You know which one I'm talking about." More silence on her end. Then finally she spoke, and her tone had shifted completely. "Are you seriously checking up on me like some jealous psycho right now?" "Who is he, Jessica?" "You went through my phone, Tyler. That's a complete violation of my privacy. I can't believe you would do that. You left it unlocked on the kitchen counter, and you left that black dress on the floor. You're not careful, Jessica. You're just lazy about covering your tracks." The sound that came next wasn't crying. It was pure anger. Sharp, wild anger like I'd never heard from her before. She didn't even try to deny it. Didn't beg me to understand or say it wasn't what it looked like. She just completely exploded on me. "You've been impossible to live with, Tyler. You're always quiet around the house, always watching me like I'm under surveillance. You stopped being fun years ago. All you do is come home, eat dinner, and sleep. You're like a roommate with a bad attitude." A roommate. That was the word she chose to use after 7 years of marriage. After every time I held her hand in the dark when she cried over her mom's illness. After I paid for her grad school tuition and helped her build her entire career. I was just a roommate to her. I gave you everything I had, Jessica. And I didn't ask you to do that. That was the moment I knew there was absolutely no fixing this. Her voice cracked again, but not from regret or sadness. From the thrill of finally saying what she'd been thinking for a long time. "I met someone who makes me feel alive, Tyler. That's not a crime, you know." "No," I said quietly, "but doing it behind my back is." The call ended right there. I didn't hang up on her. She hung up on me. I stood there under that cracked payphone booth, listening to the dial tone for minutes. And for the first time since I left Dallas, I felt something shift inside me. Not grief, not rage, just pure clarity. She was never going to say sorry. She was never going to see what she did as betrayal. In her head, I was the villain for leaving, not her for lying and cheating. So be it then. Next, I'd have to tell our families about this, then find a lawyer back home. The walk back to the hotel from the payphone felt longer than it should have. Barcelona was still buzzing with life all around me. People sitting outside cafes everywhere. Music bleeding through cracked windows. Couples laughing over drinks and dinner. But I was somewhere else entirely. Every sound bounced off me like I wasn't even there, like I was moving through the world as a ghost. When I got back to my room, I stared at my reflection in the small bathroom mirror for a long time. I looked older than I remembered, tired in a way that sleep wouldn't fix. I hadn't shaved since I landed in Spain. My eyes were sunken in, and my jaw was tight with stress. I didn't recognize the man in the mirror, but I also didn't pity him anymore. Not after that phone call. That conversation had done something to me. Jessica's voice, the edge in it, the venom, the total lack of shame. It stripped the last piece of denial from me. She wasn't confused about anything. She wasn't hurting like I thought she was. She was completely done with our marriage. And worse than that, she'd been done long before she ever bothered to tell me about it. I was just the last one to get the memo. She wanted me to come back home and pretend this was just a communication issue, something we could fix with a few therapy sessions and a half-hearted apology from her. But I knew better now. She didn't miss me at all. She missed having control over me. She missed the convenience of having a husband who covered all the bills while she chased someone else in secret. I didn't want revenge against her. I just wanted out of this marriage completely. That night, I wrote 2 emails. One to my sister Lauren with the subject line, "You were right about everything," and one to a divorce attorney I found through a friend back in Dallas with the subject line, "Requesting consultation, infidelity grounds for divorce." No dramatic language in either email, no emotional poetry or long explanations. Just the basic facts. She cheated on me, she lied to my face, I left the country, and I was ready to end this marriage. Around 3 a.m., I finally opened Instagram, something I hadn't dared to touch since leaving. Her profile was still public like always. She'd posted a photo the night I left, a glass of red wine on a table, a romantic candlelit table setting, and a caption that read, "Sometimes you have to choose yourself," with a black heart emoji. The comments underneath made me physically sick. "You deserve happiness, girl. I'm so proud of you for living your truth. That glow is everything, Queen." I stared at those words and felt like vomiting all over the floor. They didn't know the real story. Of course they didn't. She hadn't told anyone the actual truth. She'd completely rewritten the narrative, painted herself as the hero, the survivor, the poor woman finding joy after a difficult marriage. There was no mention of me anywhere, not even once in the comments. She hadn't just moved on from our marriage, she'd erased me completely. And that's when I realized something important. This wasn't just betrayal anymore. It was a complete burial. She wasn't trying to hurt me intentionally. She was trying to replace me quietly, cleanly, as if I never existed at all. So I did the only thing left to do. I started writing everything down. Every lie she told me, every moment I noticed something was off, every shift in her behavior over the months. Not for revenge or to post online, but so I could remember it clearly, remember it truthfully. When she tried to spin it all later, when she'd inevitably say, "It wasn't like that, Tyler," I would have the facts. Because it was exactly like that. And I was done letting her pretend otherwise. There's a strange calm that comes after the emotional storm passes. Not peace, not clarity exactly, but a numb, slow-moving silence where things stop screaming inside your head and start settling into place. That's where I found myself the next morning. I sat at a corner cafe, staring into a bitter espresso and watching a young couple argue in Spanish. Even without knowing the language, I could tell they actually cared about each other. That's the irony of real relationships. Arguments mean you still want to be understood. Jessica hadn't argued with me in months. She just exited our marriage emotionally while I was still trying to figure out what was wrong. I checked my email on my phone. The lawyer had replied already. She was direct and efficient about everything, told me what documents to collect, what the divorce process looked like, and what kind of timeline I was looking at. She asked gently if there were any children involved. No kids between us. We talked about having them a lot, though. She always said she wasn't ready yet, said she needed more time to grow her career first, said she couldn't imagine bringing a child into the world until she was fully self-actualized, whatever the hell that meant. I had respected that decision, supported it, even defended her when my parents started dropping those passive-aggressive grandkid comments. Now I wondered if she was just buying time, waiting to see how long I'd let her lie to my face. Later that day, I walked into a bookstore off some quiet side street. It smelled like old dust and coffee, the kind of place where people whisper even when they're completely alone. I picked up a real notebook with real paper and a real pen. I started writing by hand, not typing, not a journal, not a letter, but a timeline of everything. September, new gym membership she never mentioned. October, started hiding her phone constantly. November, business trip to Chicago, came back distant and different. December, girls' night became a weekly ritual. January, new lingerie with no explanations. February, photo in the black dress with him. March, confrontation, her lies, my escape. I didn't write this to punish her. I wrote it so I could remember that I wasn't going crazy, because that's what these people do. People like Jessica. They gaslight you completely. They rewrite reality until you start doubting your own memory. She used to say things like, "That's not how it happened, Tyler," or "You're being way too sensitive," or the worst one of all, "You're imagining things that aren't there." But this notebook doesn't lie. It doesn't twist the truth. It's mine and mine alone. That night I got a call from Lauren, Jessica's sister, not my sister. I almost didn't answer the phone, but something told me I should. "Hey Tyler," she said quietly. "I'm not trying to get in the middle of this, but I thought you should know something. Jessica's telling people you had a breakdown, that you went off the grid because of stress." I swallowed hard, feeling sick. "She said what exactly?" "She told Mom and Dad you were in therapy for mental health issues and needed space to deal with your problems. That she's supporting you through it all." I laughed, but I couldn't help it. The bitterness in that laugh was nuclear. "She's rewriting the whole story," I muttered. "Yeah," Lauren whispered back. "But I know the actual truth, Tyler. I've seen how she acts around you. I've seen the text messages on her phone. You're not crazy at all. She's not going to get away with this. Not anymore. I won't let her." Lauren's call stayed with me like a splinter I couldn't dig out. Not because it hurt me, not anymore anyway, but because it confirmed what I'd already begun to suspect. Jessica wasn't just moving on from our marriage, she was constructing something bigger. A complete narrative. A safety net for her reputation. A version of reality where she could slip out clean, untouched, completely untarnished. She wasn't going to be the woman who cheated. She was going to be the martyr, married to a broken man who checked out emotionally, who needed professional help, who wasn't present in the relationship. The one who cracked under pressure, while she, perfect Jessica, carried the weight of it all. No fucking way. She wasn't going to get away with that. I spent that evening on my laptop with slow Wi-Fi signal and a fire burning in my chest. I logged into our shared cloud account. She must have forgotten I still had access. She always said she'd clean it up someday and never actually did it. And that's when I saw it. A synced backup folder titled Memories. There were 36 images I hadn't taken. Beach shots, hotel rooms, mirror selfies, all of her, most of them with him. One photo hit me like a freight train. She was wearing the same black dress from that night she lied to me. Her arm was around his neck, her lips pressed against his cheek. The timestamp matched exactly, the night she told me she was out with the girls. I downloaded every single image, every piece of evidence. And then I did something I never thought I'd do in my life. I replied to one of her text messages. One message, one simple line. "Still telling people I'm in therapy while you're kissing strangers in hotel mirrors." No response from her. Then 22 minutes later, my phone rang. Her name on the screen. I didn't answer it. She tried calling again, then a third time after that. Then came the text message. "Why are you doing this to me, Tyler?" I stared at that message and almost laughed again. Why am I doing this to her? As if she'd forgotten what she actually did. As if me showing the truth was somehow worse than her creating a lie. I blocked her number completely. Then I forwarded everything to the lawyer. The photos, the backup logs, the phone records. She called it compelling documentation, said it would definitely help my case. Said judges don't always care about infidelity, but the narrative shift, the manipulation, the intentional lying to family members, that actually mattered in court. Lauren texted me again later that night. "She's absolutely freaking out, Tyler. She thinks you're going to go public with everything." I typed a response, then deleted it. Then typed again. "Tell her I'm not interested in revenge. I just want the truth to exist somewhere outside of her mouth." Because that's all I wanted now. No more screaming matches, no court battles soaked in drama. Just the truth, raw and ugly and unmoving, standing on its own. And for once, I wanted her to feel what it was like to have no control. The next day I met someone at the hotel bar. Not in the way you think. Not romantic, not even flirtatious. Just another human being. A guy from Dublin traveling solo, about my age, maybe 30. His name was Connor. We started talking over a shared distaste for the overpriced whiskey they served, and ended up swapping stories about why we both looked like we hadn't slept in days. He was going through a divorce too. His wife had walked out on him after 12 years of marriage. No other man involved in his case, just boredom and some yoga instructor's Instagram philosophy about self-love. We talked for hours that night. Not about the women, really. We talked about the after. The void, the weird stretch of time where nothing feels real anymore, and your body keeps moving while your brain tries to process the funeral of a life that technically isn't over yet. He said something that stuck with me. She killed the version of me that trusted people. I'm not even mad about it anymore. I'm just not the same person. And I felt that like a bruise pressed too hard, because that's exactly what this is. It's not just betrayal, it's complete theft. It's identity robbery. She didn't just break our wedding vows, she rewrote them when I wasn't looking, quietly, efficiently, and left me wondering if I ever knew her at all. Connor left the next morning. He slipped a note under my door. Don't let her turn you into someone you're not. That's how they win in the end. I folded it up and kept it in my wallet. Back home, things were shifting faster than I expected them to. My sister Lauren sent me a screenshot of Jessica's latest Instagram post. A sunset photo captioned, "New Beginnings." Her hand was visible in the frame, and so was his hand. No face shown, just fingers intertwined. She wasn't even hiding it anymore. The comments were exactly what you'd expect. Clapping emojis everywhere. So happy for you, girl. You deserve this happiness. Messages from the usual echo chamber of curated lies and fake support. People love a good redemption story, especially when they don't know who got buried underneath it. But one comment stood out to me. It was from Lauren, Jessica's sister. Just 4 words total. Hope he knows everything. No likes, no replies to it. But I saw it, and I smiled. Because I didn't need to post anything. I didn't need to expose her publicly. She was doing it to herself perfectly. And the deeper she dug into this fantasy life with her rebound soulmate, the more obvious the cracks would become. Because people like her, they don't stop this behavior. They can't stop it. They need chaos constantly. They need control over everything. And when the high fades away, when the new man forgets to compliment her hair or leaves his socks on the floor, she'll do it again to him. She doesn't know how to stay. She only knows how to escape. Let her run then. I'm not chasing anymore. I landed back in Dallas 3 weeks later. No one knew I was coming home. Not my friends, not my sister Lauren, not even Jessica's sister, though she was the only one I would have trusted to keep it quiet. I didn't want a welcome home party. I didn't want hugs or pity or long talks over coffee. I just wanted to walk through my own front door and feel the air change. Smell the dust, hear the emptiness. And I did exactly that. It was like stepping into a life someone else had lived. Same furniture, same throw blanket on the couch, same coffee mug still drying by the sink. But it wasn't mine anymore. It had been hollowed out completely, repainted in the color of lies. She was gone from the house. Half the closet was completely empty, drawers yanked open everywhere. Some still left half full, like she packed in a panic. Or maybe not a panic at all. Maybe it was just laziness again. There was a small pile of things left on our bed. Books, old photos, one of my sweatshirts folded neatly with a note placed on top. I didn't want to throw these away. Thought you might still want them. Take care of yourself, Tyler. No apology, no confession, no closure. Just that damned performative kindness she uses to keep her hands clean. I didn't read the books she left. I didn't open the box of photos. I stuffed them all into a garbage bag and left them in the garage. Maybe someday I'll burn them. Maybe I won't. Doesn't matter anymore. That first night back in Dallas, I didn't sleep in our bed. I slept on the floor instead. No pillow, just a blanket, and the cold hardwood beneath me. Not because I was punishing myself, but because I needed the discomfort. I needed to feel present. I needed something real to anchor me. In the morning, I changed all the locks. Then I went through every room and started stripping out everything she left behind. Perfume bottles, throw pillows, that cheesy "Love Lives Here" sign she insisted on hanging by the kitchen. It all went into garbage bags, every single trace of her. I cleaned for 7 hours straight. Scrubbed the floors thoroughly, vacuumed behind all the furniture, washed every dish, every towel, every surface she might have touched. Not because I'm obsessive about cleaning, but because that was my ritual. That was mine to do. That was me reclaiming the space she had polluted with her lies. I didn't cry during any of it. I didn't scream at the walls. I didn't call her number. I just kept cleaning everything. And by the time the sun went down, the house didn't feel like a memory anymore. It felt like a blank canvas. Quiet, unfamiliar, but completely mine. The next day, I went to the courthouse and filed the divorce papers in person. The woman at the counter didn't ask why. She didn't look surprised at all. She just stamped the file, handed me a copy and said, "Good luck with everything." And as I walked out into the bright Texas sunlight, I realized something important. She left for her date that night, I left the country, and now finally, I was coming home to myself. 4 days after I filed the papers, I got a message. Not from her, but from him. A number I didn't recognize, no name attached to it. Just a single line of text. "Hey man, I think we need to talk." I stared at it for a long time. My first instinct was to delete it, block him, shut it down, keep the lines severed and clean. But something stopped me. Curiosity maybe, but I think it was something else. I wanted to know what kind of man knew a woman was married and decided that didn't matter. So I replied back, "About what exactly?" He wrote back instantly, "I didn't know she was married, Tyler." And I completely froze. He didn't know about me. He didn't fucking know. I told him to call me right away. I didn't expect him to, but he did 3 minutes later. His name was Cameron, 31 years old, graphic designer. Met her at some networking event. She told him she was divorced, said I wasn't in the picture anymore, that we'd been separated for over a year but were still untangling logistics. She was always vague about it, he said. But I figured, divorce stuff is always messy. She told him I was unstable, that I had serious emotional issues, that I'd left her after years of neglect, that she tried to make it work, but I shut down completely. And he believed every word. I don't even blame him for that. That's the terrifying part about Jessica. She's incredibly good at this. She knows exactly how to weaponize sympathy, how to play victim while stabbing you in the back with a smile. I lived with it for years. He got it condensed into just a few weeks. "I just wanted you to know, man," Cameron said over the phone. "She lied to both of us, and I'm completely done with her." I didn't say much back to him. I thanked him for calling, told him I appreciated the honesty, told him he didn't owe me anything, but that it meant something anyway. Then he asked the question that caught me completely off guard. "Do you think she ever really loved either of us?" I didn't answer right away because honestly, I don't know. I think she loved the attention, the control over people, the idea of being desired by multiple men. But love? Real love? No. Not in the way it actually matters. Not in the way that stays with you. When the call ended, I sat there for a long time. Not angry, not bitter. Just completely done. I finally saw her clearly. Not as my wife, not as a woman I lost, but as a stranger I once trusted with my entire heart and who traded it for validation and a few cheap thrills. And now she had nothing left. No husband, no boyfriend. Just a mirror and a long list of stories that were starting to contradict each other. She built her escape on lies, and it was already starting to collapse. The divorce papers were officially served on a Thursday morning. I didn't tell her they were coming. I didn't warn her about it. No final text messages, no dramatic announcements, just a quiet, clinical delivery. Signed, sealed, unavoidable. Later that day, Lauren called me. Jessica's sister, not mine. "She lost it completely, Tyler," she said. "Screamed at Mom, said you blindsided her with everything." Of course she did. Of course it was my fault again. Lauren didn't sound surprised at all. She sounded tired of Jessica's drama. She said she thought you two could still talk things through, that maybe it wasn't really over yet. I laughed, not bitterly, just in complete disbelief. She's already telling people I'm emotionally unstable and mentally sick, and she thought we could talk things through? She lies to herself more than she lies to anyone else, Lauren said quietly. She can't stand not being the one who walks away first. That line hit me hard because it was absolutely true. She needed to be the one in control. She needed to end it on her terms, when it suited her perfectly, with a new man already lined up to make the transition seamless. Me leaving first and not coming back when summoned shattered her little performance. She wanted me heartbroken and obedient. Instead, I was free and moving on. Lauren said Jessica wasn't eating, was barely leaving her new apartment, that Cameron had blocked her after our phone conversation, and that she'd been spiraling, posting cryptic Instagram stories, black and white quotes about growth and betrayal. The usual softcore manipulation tactics. "She's not going to handle this well," Lauren added carefully. "I know that," I said back. "Just be careful, Tyler. I don't trust her not to twist this." Neither did I, honestly. But at this point, it didn't matter anymore. I wasn't defending myself to anyone. I wasn't chasing my reputation. I wasn't dragging my life into some public trial. The people who mattered knew the truth. Everyone else could believe what they wanted. I didn't need to win the story. I just needed to end it completely. So I wrote her one final message. Not for her, but for me. You lied to me for months. You cheated behind my back. You made your choices, Jessica, and I've made mine. I won't speak to you again. Not out of hate for you, but because I love peace more than I love the version of you I built in my head. Goodbye forever. Then I blocked her everywhere. No more edits, no more rewrites. The story, our story, was over. And I was finally free. Freedom didn't come with fireworks. It came with a quiet Sunday morning. I was standing in line at the grocery store, holding a basket with eggs, coffee, and a frozen pizza, when I realized I hadn't thought about her all morning long. Not even once. No lingering ache in my chest, no invisible hand around my throat. Just a normal day with normal thoughts. And in that moment, that simple basket felt like a trophy. I went home and started rearranging the living room. Nothing big or dramatic, just shifting the couch around, moving a lamp to a different spot, tossing out a throw pillow she bought on some overpriced influencer's recommendation. And then I lit a candle I actually liked, one I picked myself. Not because it matched the aesthetic she forced on everything in our house, but because it smelled like vanilla and cedar and made the room feel like mine. I was reclaiming things in small pieces. The mail was lighter now, no more joint bills to deal with, no cards addressed to Mr. and Mrs., no more wedding invitations from her friends I'd grown to dislike. Even the silence in the house had changed. It didn't echo with emptiness anymore. It breathed with possibility. Later that week, I bumped into an old friend. Nathan, a guy I drifted away from because Jessica never really liked him. She always said he was too intense, which was code for he sees through your BS. We had coffee together, caught up, laughed about things I'd forgotten mattered to me. He said something that stuck. You look different, man. Like you finally came out of some thick fog, and I had come out of it. Because the truth is, I hadn't just lost a marriage, I'd lost myself slowly over years. Compromising piece after piece, laughing less, speaking softer, apologizing for things I hadn't done, making myself smaller and smaller to avoid waking the storm she always carried just behind her eyes. Yeah, I told Nathan. I don't ask permission to breathe anymore. I don't double-check my tone before I speak. I don't rehearse conversations in my head. I don't flinch when my phone buzzes. I just live my life now. And yeah, sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's lonely as hell. Sometimes I catch myself reaching for a memory and then yanking my hand back like it's on fire. But I don't miss her anymore. I miss the man I was before she began dismantling him. That man, he's back now. Scarred for sure, but stronger. And every day I do something that reminds me I survived. Not just the betrayal itself, but the slow erasure of myself that came before it. And now I'm writing the ending of this story the way it should have always been. On my own terms completely. It's been 7 months now. The divorce is completely finalized. My name is mine again. My bank account, my time, my space, all mine. The house doesn't smell like her perfume anymore. I replaced all the sheets, repainted the office completely, gutted the bathroom entirely. Every inch of this place is a middle finger to the past and a handshake to the future. I saw her once by accident. She was across the street outside some boutique downtown, holding her phone, laughing. Same hair, same walk, same fake laugh she used to turn on at dinner parties. I stood still and watched her for exactly 12 seconds. That was all I needed. She didn't see me standing there, but if she had, I don't think she would have recognized me. Because I wasn't him anymore. Not the man she manipulated, gaslit, lied to, deconstructed piece by piece until I became a shell she could wear like armor while she chased attention from strangers. That man is gone forever, and I didn't just survive her. I outgrew her completely. You see, betrayal doesn't just end a relationship. It exposes everything underneath, all the fault lines you tried to ignore, all the compromises you made in the name of love, all the ways you shrank to keep the peace. It burns away every illusion, and in the ashes, if you're lucky, you find something better than before, clarity. She wasn't a mistake in my life. She was a mirror, one that showed me what I would never tolerate again, what I truly valued deep down, who I was before I let someone rewrite me into something smaller, quieter, more convenient for them. And now I laugh again. I sleep through the night. I walk into my own home and exhale. I've reconnected with old friends. I've started running every morning. I'm learning how to cook something other than spaghetti and scrambled eggs. I even booked a trip to Norway next spring. No escape this time, just pure adventure. So here's my advice for whoever needs to hear it. If you're sitting in that silence, wondering if your gut is right, if the lies are real, if the person you love is already halfway out the door, listen to yourself. You're not crazy. You're not broken. And you sure as hell are not to blame for someone else's betrayal. Pack your things, change all the locks, rewrite your story. And when they ask what happened, just say this. She left for her date. I left the country. She got a new man. I got my life back.